Okay, what you saying, people, and welcome back to another video. Now today we'll be talking about the 200 moving average. Now I use the 200 moving average a lot in my trading, and it helps me target levels, understand direction in the market as well. So I'm going to be showing you how I use the 200 moving average and how you could do it as well to improve your trading. So make sure you stay tuned for that, but like always, make sure you leave a like on the video and also subscribe to the channel. That really helps the channel out. If you haven't already, make sure you follow me on my Telegram channel. I'll leave a link to that in the description. So we post a lot of different trading setups throughout the week, and you don't be missing out on that. So make sure you go check it out, and also check out my Instagram page. I'll leave the handle here. So we post a lot of different tips, also trading setups as well, which could be really beneficial to you. So feel free to go check that out. But before that said, let's get into the video. Okay, so welcome to the charts, people. So like I said, I'm going to show you how I use the 200 moving average to help me out with my trading, and how you could use it as well. So there's two main reasons why I use the 200 moving average, because it helps me with direction in the market, gives me a little bit of a reference point, and it also helps it with support and resistance as well, for pullbacks and seeing the trend continue in a specific direction. So to start with, I'm going to show you how it helps with direction and a bit of a reference point. Now you can see we have an AUD/USD on the daily time frame, and also the daily 200 average. The daily 200 moving average works really well. I find that the lower time frames, they don't work as well the lower you go, and sometimes like the weekly and monthly are a little bit too long term. So the daily is kind of like the sweet spot. So 200 moving average on the daily works really well, and as you can see, we had a nice trend to the downside here. Price was making those lower lows and those lower highs for quite a long time, and you notice that the 200-day moving average was trending above price. So as long as price trend is below that 200 moving average, it kind of indicates to us that we have a long-term downward trend on our hands. So as you can see, the trend is to the downside, and price doesn't close above the 200 moving average until we get here, but you can see we close back below. So essentially a bit of a false breakout, but for the most part, price was trending quite nicely below that 200 moving average. So again, as you can see, every time price pulls back, we pull back near the 200 moving average as well. So the deeper pullbacks for price to give us some nice swings to continue back to the downside. As you can see, we pull back near the 200 moving average there. So that's what we want to be looking for sells. Again, pull back to the 200 moving average there. Again, actually this time we tested it, and there again you can see it tested it there again. Didn't quite pull back and test it, but there, again we pull back near the 200 average. So again, it's a nice area in the market where price pulls back to, and it's to continue for the long-term trend. So obviously for the downtrend, we do have smaller uptrends within that trend, as you can see, push the upside. So we're trending to the upside there, trending to the upside there again, but the overall trend for us is the downside. So the 200 average is not like do or die. If we're trending below it, it's definitely a downtrend, you have to sell, and if we're above it, you have to buy. It's more like a general scope of the overall trend of where we could be heading to for the long term. So that's what I normally use it for, as a gauge for the long-term trend in the market. So as you can see, long term we were to the downside, and we held that for quite a long time, and then you can see a big move to the downside, broke back above it, and now we're actually in the uptrend for AUD/USD, and we're probably actually expecting to see price pull back to test the 200 average soon for this pair, actually for AUD/USD. As you see, we're trending above it. We haven't actually quite had a pullback into the 200 average, so we're due one. Obviously price will still continue further to the upside. We obviously don't know when the pullback will happen, but we're going to be seeing pullback soon for this pair for AUD/USD, and potentially go and test the 200 average, or again near it. As you can see here, we didn't quite test it, so could be getting that scenario coming up soon for AUD/USD. Obviously still room to go higher, but eventually we should see price pull back and go and test the 200 moving average. So we'll be looking out for that. So again, that's what I mean by reference point as well. You can see the 200 moving average going through price over here, quite a distance away. So for me, you can see that we've pushed the upside. We need to be having a pullback soon in the market. As you can see, a healthy trending market has those pullbacks, and we're kind of due a pullback to go and test the 200 moving average soon for AUD/USD. So again, I can be using that for my trading. So for AUD/USD, currently I'm looking for shorts for this one on the lower time frames. I know that my daily 200 average is all the way down here, so there's a lot of room for us to swing to the downside for us to have a bit of a counter trend move. a deeper pullback before we can continue in this bullish trend if we were to do so anyway. So again, that's what I mean by gauge a reference point. We know where we are on the market. Obviously, when we're all the way down here, price gave us a very strong move to the downside, so naturally you do expect price to move back to go and test the 200 average at least. But you can see here, from there we had a big move back to the upside and actually broke through it, and from then we started an upwards trend in the market. So it's a nice point to gauge. If we get too far away from the moving average, you normally expect price to come back, at least pull back towards it or go and test it. And you can see that throughout the market as well. You can see every time we push it further away, we came back to it, push further away, came back to it, push further away, we came back to it. And you can see that all throughout the market, pushed away, came back to the 200 moving average, pushed away, came back, pushed away, came back. So you can see that throughout the whole market, we do normally come back to go and test the 200 moving average. There's a really good example. Price came down, found some support, came all the way to go and test it before it continued to the downside. So that's what I'm expecting to see roughly, obviously not that to the T, but roughly for the current price action we got on now for AUD/USD. So again, that's what I mean as a gauge, as a reference point of where we can potentially go in the market. But remember, like I said, it's not always going to work 100%. It's more just a reference point just to be aware of in the market. It's not a do or die thing. As you can see, really messy. Price was trending above it, then trending back below, then trending above it, then trending back below. So again, not really giving us the best direction where we've got uptrend or downtrend on our hands. So it's not something that you take too seriously, but it does help with your trading as well. And like I said, number two, the second reason why I like using it is because it acts as support and resistance quite well as well. As you can see here, when we trend to the downside, acting as resistance for us there. So again, that can be an extra confidence of why you're taking a trade. If you're taking the trade from 200 moving daily average, again, that can really help you trade out and see a nice push to the downside or to the upside. So again, there again, acting as resistance. So again, it's a really nice place where potentially price could reverse. And another pair that's doing that quite well is NZD-CAD at the moment. As you can see here, acting as support there for us quite nicely. Came down, tested the 200 moving average, big push back to the upside. And then again, you can see it test it again, big push to the upside. So it was acting really nice as support there in the market. So you can see that if you go back, test it for yourself. Obviously, don't have to take what I'm saying as gospel. Go back, test it for yourself. Have your own belief in the 200 moving average. See if it works for you. If you don't really like it, it's more as a concept, not something that you have to obviously just immediately implant into your trading plan, but it's more like a concept. It just really helps me with my trading plan, so I really wanted to share it. But yeah, it acts as support and resistance throughout the market. Obviously not going to act as resistance and support every single time. As you can see there, prices broke through it quite well, there again. But again, when it does act as support and resistance, it does so quite nicely. So it's just an idea that helps me out with direction, gauge, and also added confidence of where we could come to, because in my past weekly analysis where I forecast what can happen in the next week, I remember saying that we could potentially come and test the 200 moving average, then bounce off and come back to the upside. And as you can see, that's exactly what happened here. Came and tested the 200 moving average, and from then on we had a nice push to the upside. So again, it does really help me out with my trading, and you guys should go check it out, go back test it and see for yourself if it's worth your time. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the video. So I hope you all enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, or if you have any questions, or if you've already used the 200 moving average, drop a comment and I'll make sure I'll get back to you. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and also leave a like on the video. But until the next one, I'll see you later.